The star of Bewitched made $10 million playing a witch who could get anything with a twitch of her nose. But in real life, Elizabeth Montgomery's fortune brought nothing but trouble. A Japanese commercial deal she kept secret from Hollywood, a Bentley with mysterious license plates, and an estate sale that exposed family tensions hiding behind closed doors. This is the true story of how one of TV's richest actresses left behind a legacy that would divide those closest to her. Elizabeth Montgomery was born on April 15, 1933, in Los Angeles, California. Her parents were already Hollywood stars. Her father, Robert Montgomery, was a famous actor who had starred in big movies and even helped start the Screen Actors Guild. Her mother, Elizabeth Allen, had been a talented Broadway actress before giving up her career to focus on her family. The Montgomerys lived a glamorous life. They had a big mansion in Beverly Hills where famous stars like Bette Davis and James Cagney were regular visitors. Elizabeth's childhood was surrounded by luxury and Hollywood royalty. Her first acting role came when she was just 5 years old, playing a wolf in a school play. Even at that young age, she seemed destined for the stage. Life in the Montgomery household was divided between two spectacular worlds. Elizabeth's summers were spent on a sprawling estate in Paterson, New York, where her father would retreat for months to escape the pressures of Hollywood. The rest of the year was lived in the opulence of their Beverly Hills home. Her education mirrored this privileged upbringing, with time spent at prestigious schools like Westlake School for Girls in Los Angeles and the Spence School in New York. Elizabeth was afforded every opportunity imaginable: private tutors, international travel, and access to the highest social circles. Yet, despite this seemingly perfect life, her relationship with her father added a layer of complexity. Robert Montgomery loved Elizabeth but did not want her to become an actress. He knew how tough Hollywood could be and wanted her to stay away from it. When she made her TV debut on his show, Robert Montgomery Presents, her first line was, "Hi, Pop." That moment threw him off so much that he forgot his lines. Though it was a sweet memory, their relationship had its struggles. Robert was very critical of her work and often sent her notes when he thought her performances weren't good enough. Elizabeth respected his advice, but found it hard to live up to his expectations. Things got worse when she wanted to change her last name to distance herself from his fame. Her father was hurt and asked her, "Are you ashamed of me?" The tension between them wasn't just about her career. Robert was very conservative and a strong Republican, while Elizabeth grew up to have liberal beliefs. She used her fame to support progressive causes, which created even more distance between them. Despite their arguments, their love for each other never faded. In later years, they reconciled, and Elizabeth's biographer said there was no hate between them, only love. In 1951, Elizabeth Montgomery made a decision that changed her life. She shocked her family by announcing that she wouldn't go to college. Instead, she wanted to act. Her father, Robert Montgomery, a well-known actor, wasn't happy. He warned her about the hard life of show business, but Elizabeth was determined. Without telling her parents, she withdrew her college applications and secretly applied to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. This upset her father deeply, and it took years for them to fully repair their relationship. At the Academy, Elizabeth worked harder than ever. She made friends like Sally Kemp, who supported her during these intense years. The training was tough. She spent long days in classes, sometimes staying late at night to rehearse. She even took extra lessons to improve her speech and movement, wanting to leave behind any signs of her privileged background. Elizabeth didn't want special treatment because of her father. To prove herself, she auditioned for student plays under a fake name, making sure she earned roles based only on her talent. In 1953, Elizabeth made her Broadway debut in a play called Late Love. The play opened at the Booth Theater, and her performance earned her the Theatre World Award. This was a huge achievement, as it showed she was being recognized for her talent, not her family name. The play ran for 83 performances, and by the end, Elizabeth had proven she could succeed on her own. Around this time, she married Frederick Gallatin Caman, but their marriage caused some controversy. Caman was removed from the social register because he had married an actress. The marriage didn't last long, ending after just 1 year. In 1960, Elizabeth got her big break. She was nominated for an Emmy for her performance in The Untouchables. This was a huge deal because the show was very popular, and she acted alongside famous stars like Robert Stack. People started to see her as a serious actress, especially because she was also working on other big shows like The Twilight Zone and Alfred Hitchcock Presents. This moment changed her career, helping her stand out in the entertainment world. Elizabeth wasn't just a TV star, she also acted in movies, starting with The Court-Martial of Billy Mitchell in 1955. A few years later, in 1963, she played a big role in the film Johnny Cool. What made her special was how she could do both TV and movies at the same time, showing her versatility. Her life changed completely in 1964 when she starred in Bewitched. Elizabeth won the part over several well-known actresses of the time, and it would become the role that defined her career. What made Samantha special was that she wasn't your typical TV housewife. She was a witch with magical powers, which was quite revolutionary for its time. One of the most remarkable things about Montgomery's work on the show was how she played two different characters, Samantha and her mischievous cousin, Serena. Serena first appeared in the second season, and here's a fun detail. When Montgomery played Serena, she was credited under the clever fake name Pandora Spox, a playful twist on Pandora's box. To film scenes where both characters appeared together, they used a stand-in named Melody McCord. Serena became such a hit with viewers that she appeared more and more, especially in the 5th season. Through these two roles, Montgomery got to show her amazing range as an actress. Samantha was the perfect suburban housewife, while Serena was wild and free-spirited. Bewitched was an enormous success right from the start. When it first aired, it became ABC's most popular show and was second only to Bonanza across all TV networks. It aired on Thursday nights at 9 p.m., alongside other popular shows like My Three Sons and Peyton Place. Over its 8-year run, from 1964 to 1972, they made 254 episodes. The first 74 episodes were in black and white, though they were later colorized, and the rest were in color. The show stayed incredibly popular, ranking in the top 7 shows for its first few years and staying in the top 11 for several years after that. This success continued even after they had to replace Dick York with Dick Sargent in the role of Darren Stevens in 1969. Montgomery's talent didn't go unnoticed by critics. She received 5 Emmy nominations in a row, from 1966 to 1970, for Best Actress in a Comedy Series, plus 4 Golden Globe nominations for playing Samantha. After Bewitched, she continued to earn recognition for her work in television movies. The impact of Bewitched went far beyond entertainment. It changed how television showed women and supernatural themes. The show was so significant that TV Guide ranked it among the 50 greatest TV shows ever in 2002. It had a particularly interesting effect on Salem, Massachusetts, where they filmed 8 special episodes. These episodes helped change how people thought about Salem's dark history with witchcraft trials, making it more approachable for modern audiences. As television expert Professor Robert Thompson pointed out, The show helped make witchcraft less scary and more acceptable to the public. The show's influence can still be seen today. It inspired a movie version in 2005 and set the pattern for many supernatural TV shows that came after it. After Bewitched ended, Montgomery made some interesting career choices that might surprise many of her fans. While American audiences weren't seeing much of her, she found an unexpected opportunity in Japan. From 1980 to 1983, she appeared in a series of commercials for Lotte Corp, advertising their Mother chocolate biscuits and cookies. In these ads, she brought back her famous nose twitch and magical elements that had made her so beloved as Samantha. These Japanese commercials proved to be quite profitable for Montgomery, allowing her to earn a good living while staying away from the Hollywood spotlight and her American fans. Back in the United States, Montgomery was determined to show her range as an actress by taking on dramatically different roles from the cheerful witch housewife she had played for so long. She particularly sought out serious, challenging parts that would help people see her in a new light. 2 of these roles earned her Emmy Award nominations and showed just how versatile she could be. In 1974, she took on the difficult role of a rape victim in A Case of Rape, a powerful television movie that dealt with a very serious subject matter, quite different from the light-hearted magic of Bewitched. The following year, she starred in The Legend of Lizzie Borden, playing the notorious Lizzie Borden, who had been accused, and later acquitted, of murdering her father and stepmother in the late 1800s. This role showed Montgomery in one of her darkest performances, far removed from the sweet-natured Samantha Stevens. In the world of game shows, Montgomery became a regular and beloved guest on Password. She was so good at the word-guessing game that the host, Alan Ludden, crowned her the Queen of Password. Her dramatic roles continued to show her versatility. In 1978, she played a strong pioneer woman battling the harsh realities of 1820s Ohio in The Awakening Land. This powerful performance earned her a 9th Emmy nomination, proving once again her skill with serious roles. 1977 brought a controversial role in A Killing Affair, where Montgomery played a police detective who becomes romantically involved with her married partner, played by O.J. Simpson. Then, in 1985, she surprised audiences by playing against type as a cruel nurse who mistreats elderly residents in Amos. This dark role put her opposite Hollywood legends Kirk Douglas and Dorothy McGuire. In 1989, Montgomery made her final return to Broadway, performing in Love Letters with Robert Foxworth. Her last television project was playing Detective Edna Buchanan in a series of films, with the final one airing just 9 days before her death in 1995. Her very last acting work was voicing a barmaid in an episode of Batman the Animated Series, which aired after she passed away. These final roles showed how Montgomery never stopped challenging herself as an actress, taking on complex characters right up until the end of her career. Meanwhile, Elizabeth's personal life had ups and downs. Her first marriage came in 1954 when she wed Frederick Gallatin Cammon, a wealthy New York socialite. The union, encouraged by her father to match her with someone from high society, didn't last long. Elizabeth realized she couldn't live the traditional life of a housewife and chose her acting career instead. By August 1955, the marriage was over, and she moved on. Her second marriage, to actor Gig Young in 1956, was far more challenging. Gig was 14 years older and battled severe alcoholism, which deeply affected their relationship. To make things harder, Gig couldn't have children due to a vasectomy he'd had years earlier, and even an attempted reversal didn't help. Their marriage ended after 6 tumultuous years in 1963. Tragically, years later, Gig's life took a shocking turn when he killed his 5th wife, before taking his own life in 1978. Elizabeth's third marriage was to director William Asher in 1963, and for a time, it seemed to bring happiness. Together, they had 3 children, and during this period, Elizabeth starred in her most iconic role in Bewitched. However, things grew complicated by the 8th season of the show. Elizabeth fell in love with the director, Richard Michaels, and their affair led to the end of both their marriages. The relationship with Michaels lasted a little over 2 years after Bewitched ended, but it didn't last forever. Her final marriage came later in life, to actor Robert Foxworth. After nearly 20 years of living together, they quietly tied the knot in 1993. Elizabeth valued her privacy deeply, and their wedding was kept away from the public eye. During their time together, rumors swirled about an affair Elizabeth allegedly had with Russian ballet dancer Alexander Godunov. Strangely, Godunov passed away just days before Elizabeth herself in 1995, adding an odd twist to her story. For Elizabeth, her 3 children with William Asher were her greatest joy. William Allen Asher, born in 1964, became a talented guitar maker. Robert Deverell Asher, born in 1965, worked in the entertainment industry as an executive producer. Rebecca Elizabeth Asher, born in 1969, found success as a director and editor in Hollywood. Elizabeth's pregnancies with Robert and Rebecca were even woven into the storyline of Bewitched, making them a unique part of television history. Romance often overlapped with Elizabeth's career, sometimes creating complications. While filming her first Hollywood movie, rumors of an affair with co-star Gary Cooper surfaced, even though she was still married to Kaman. Brief links to other celebrities, like Dean Martin, added to her colorful romantic history, though not all were confirmed. Despite her fame, Elizabeth valued her privacy above all else. When she and Foxworth finally married, they kept it so quiet that even when asked why they hadn't tied the knot yet, Foxworth joked, "I know a lot of couples who lived together, and once they got those papers, it was over." In her later years, Elizabeth retreated from the spotlight, living in a gated Beverly Hills home. She rarely gave interviews, but showed her playful side by keeping a fake blood-covered axe from the legend of Lizzie Borden near her fireplace. Elizabeth Montgomery's life was shaped by her passionate beliefs and her willingness to stand up for what she thought was right, even when it meant going against her own family. Her political views were a stark contrast to those of her father, Robert Montgomery, a staunch Republican and Hollywood insider who worked closely with the White House. Elizabeth, on the other hand, was a proud liberal Democrat who became an outspoken critic of the Vietnam War during the 1960s. Their opposing stances reflected the deep generational and political divides of the time. While her father supported military intervention, Elizabeth used her platform to advocate for peace, often challenging the conservative ideals she grew up with. Elizabeth's activism wasn't just about taking a stand. It was a way of life. During the Vietnam War, and well beyond, she became deeply involved in the peace movement. Her efforts went far beyond celebrity protests. She narrated powerful documentaries like Cover Up, Behind the Iran-Contra Affair in 1988, and The Panama Deception in 1992, which went on to win an Academy Award. She didn't just speak out. She contributed financially, showed up at anti-war rallies, and lent her voice to projects that highlighted the consequences of military interventions. In 1988, she even supported Jesse Jackson's presidential campaign, which focused heavily on peace initiatives. Elizabeth's advocacy made her a leading voice for peace during a time when such opinions often sparked controversy. Her compassion also extended to LGBTQ+ rights, an area where she was far ahead of her time. In June 1992, she served as the Grand Marshal of the Los Angeles Gay Pride Parade, alongside her Bewitched co-star Dick Sargent, who had recently come out as gay. This was a bold and meaningful gesture in an era when many celebrities avoided openly supporting the LGBTQ+ community. During the height of the AIDS crisis, Elizabeth used her voice to challenge stigma and advocate for gay rights, standing with those who often felt isolated. She didn't just make public appearances, she backed her words with financial support for LGBTQ+ organizations and used her Hollywood influence to promote acceptance and change. Elizabeth was also a fierce advocate for AIDS awareness and research. During the late 1980s and early 1990s, when the epidemic was at its worst, she became one of the first celebrities to step forward and lend her voice to the cause. She worked closely with organizations like AMFAR, participated in fundraising events, and appeared in public service campaigns to raise awareness. After her death in 1995, her family honored her legacy by auctioning her clothing collection to benefit the AIDS Healthcare Foundation. Her commitment to helping those affected by AIDS wasn't just about raising money. It was about fighting the fear and ignorance surrounding the disease and supporting those in need. In her final years, Elizabeth turned her attention to other charitable causes, including Learning Ally, a nonprofit dedicated to helping disabled individuals access educational materials. She personally recorded audiobooks like A.A. Milne's When We Were Very Young, showing her dedication to making a difference even in small, personal ways. She was also an active supporter of Amnesty International, championing human rights, and worked to promote women's rights through her roles in groundbreaking television films like A Case of Rape. Her tireless dedication inspired others, and after her passing, Learning Ally honored her memory by naming their 1995 Record-A-thon after her. Elizabeth Montgomery's cancer diagnosis came as a shock in March 1995, while she was filming Deadline for Murder from the files of Edna Buchanan. She had been feeling unwell throughout the production, battling symptoms that seemed like a bad flu. But Elizabeth, known for her strong will, pushed through and completed filming by late March. Afterward, her husband, Robert Foxworth, noticed how much her health had worsened. When he expressed his concerns, she brushed them off, saying, "I'm all right." Within a week, her doctor sent her to a specialist, and the news was devastating. She had stage 4 colorectal cancer. By the time it was detected, the disease had already spread to her liver and lungs. Doctors quickly scheduled surgery, but it was too late to stop the aggressive progression. The 8 weeks between her diagnosis and death were incredibly tough. Elizabeth chose not to stay in a hospital and instead spent her final days at her home in Beverly Hills. True to her private nature, she faced this period with quiet determination. Her condition worsened rapidly as the cancer spread. Experts later reflected that, had modern screening been routine in the 1980s, her cancer might have been caught much earlier. At the time, colorectal cancer was the second leading cause of cancer deaths in the U.S., but screenings weren't standard practice until late 1995, months after Elizabeth's passing. Elizabeth passed away on May 18, 1995, at the age of 62 in her Beverly Hills home. Some confusion followed about her age, as some records claimed she was 57, but official sources confirmed she was 62. Her husband and her 3 children from her previous marriage to William Asher were by her side. Despite her illness, Elizabeth had continued giving back. Just months before her death, in January 1995, she recorded A.A. Milne's When We Were Very Young for Learning Ally, a nonprofit creating educational audiobooks for people with disabilities. It became one of her last charitable acts. Elizabeth's funeral reflected her wish for privacy. Her body was cremated, and a memorial service was held a month later, on June 18, 1995, at the Cannon Theater in Beverly Hills. The event celebrated her life with performances by jazz legend Herbie Hancock and singer Amanda McBroom. Writer Dominic Dunn shared touching memories of their early friendship, and Robert Foxworth read sympathy messages from fans. Family members, including her children, brother, stepson, and personal nurse, came together to share personal stories. Elizabeth's connection to Paterson, New York, where her parents' home was located, was honored when the estate became part of Wonder Lake State Park. The entertainment world deeply mourned her loss. Tributes poured in, highlighting her impact on television and beyond. In April 1998, an auction of her clothing raised money for the AIDS Healthcare Foundation in Los Angeles, with Erin Murphy, who played Tabitha on Bewitched, modeling some of the items. In June 2005, Salem, Massachusetts honored her most famous role by erecting a bronze statue of Samantha Stevens from Bewitched. On January 4, 2008, the Hollywood Walk of Fame posthumously awarded her a star at 6533 Hollywood Boulevard, recognizing her contributions to television. Her passing came at a bittersweet time for fans of Bewitched. Both actors who played Darren had died in the years leading up to her death. Dick York in 1992 from emphysema, and Dick Sargent in 1994 from prostate cancer. Elizabeth's loss was felt not just by her colleagues, but by generations of fans who admired her talent, kindness, and grace. Elizabeth Montgomery was an extraordinary actress who left behind a $10 million fortune when she passed away in 1995, a sum that would be worth around $20 million today. Most of her wealth came from her role as Samantha Stevens in the beloved TV show Bewitched, 1964 to 1972. This role not only made her a household name, but also earned her 5 Emmy nominations and 4 Golden Globe nominations. Beyond acting, Elizabeth was smart with her money. She negotiated lucrative contracts and made savvy investments that provided her with a steady income even after Bewitched ended. Her approach to finances showed a deep understanding of how to plan for the future and grow her wealth. Elizabeth's real estate holdings were another key part of her fortune. She lived in an impressive 26-room mansion in Beverly Hills for over 40 years, a home that became a centerpiece of her life and family. She also owned a custom-built 5-bedroom lakefront mansion in Agora Hills, showcasing her taste for luxury. Additionally, she kept her parents' 20-acre property in Putnam County, New York, which was historically significant and once part of Wonder Lake State Park. These properties reflected not only her love for beautiful homes, but also her knack for making smart real estate investments. After her death, an estate sale at her Beverly Hills mansion in June 1999 revealed fascinating details about Elizabeth's life and interests. Organized by her children, Bill and Rebecca Asher, and her former husband, Robert Foxworth, the sale was low-key, with just a simple ad in Variety magazine and a modest garage sale sign outside the property. Visitors discovered a treasure trove of items, including her 1977 Bentley, with the personalized license plate Bentleys, priced at $15,000. The collection was eclectic, ranging from African artifacts to Kentucky Derby collector plates. Her love for horses was evident in the equestrian-themed artwork that once decorated her dining room. A playful touch greeted visitors, a black cat at the entrance, a nod to her iconic role as a witch in Bewitched. Elizabeth's children played an essential role in preserving her legacy after she passed away. Rebecca, along with her brothers William Jr. and Robert, inherited not just her wealth, but also the responsibility of managing her estate. They were deeply involved in ensuring that their mother's memory lived on, from authenticating items at the estate sale to overseeing her financial and personal belongings. Certificates signed by Robert Foxworth accompanied many of the items sold, adding a personal touch to the process. Today, their dedication is evident in the continued syndication of Bewitched and other efforts to honor Elizabeth's remarkable life and career, keeping her legacy alive for future generations.